Hi, I'm attorney Ron Rohde from Ronald Rohde Law, and today we're going to be talking about acquiring distressed assets. In certain markets, distressed assets can have different definitions. However, the range of skill sets needed to acquire distressed assets is nearly a separate skill set entirely. For distressed assets, I'm going to distinguish between overfinanced and undermanaged properties. And what this basically means is two different types of sellers who are motivated by two different, or it could be both motivations. So overfinance is somebody who may have overpaid at the time of acquisition and saddled the property with too much debt, or at debt that was at too expensive of a price, or saddled the company with too much debt that the property cannot support at its current market highest and best use. Now, on the other hand, an undermanaged property is one that may have a reasonable amount of debt, it may have sufficient equity, and the debt terms may be reasonable. However, the management of the property is allowing units to fall into disrepair. It's not getting occupancy that is commensurate to a property in that submarket. And so when a seller hits one of these two things, one of these two distressors, they will go down a path of losing cash flow. And at some point, they may decide to get out from this negative cash flow position. They may want to salvage any personal guarantees or their negative debt on their balance sheet, and then they'll be motivated to sell. What happens when they want to motivate to sell is you have to come in with a very compelling letter of interest that allows them to exit the property and for you to acquire a property on your own terms. Now, for example, that means preparing a letter of intent that puts your minimum due diligence requirements. So, for example, in a good market, if you were purchasing a property at a low 5 cap rate, you would want to see every single lease. You would want to look at every percentage of common area expense. You would want to scrutinize it for whether it's high or low. And you would want to spend a fair amount of time analyzing the property to ensure that it's worth such a premium in that market. On the other hand, a distressed property, you have to perform a sort of triage. You don't have the luxury of examining every single line item, asking questions of the property manager, going back over financials. You must make quick decisions based on ballpark numbers. And what I mean by that is you have to prioritize what leases do we want our attorney to look at. We probably want to look at 70% of the revenue. We don't need to go to 100% of the existing revenue. We will look at it if we have time. It would be great, but it's more important to ensure that our anchors are happy. We're happy that the anchors aren't going to leave based on a perceived breach by the seller or the landlord. And these all have to occur in a much abbreviated timeline. And in 2 or 3 days, that can make the difference of missing a deadline and causing earnest money to go hard when the owner makes a conclusion that they did not want to go hard, or maybe they don't want to purchase this property at the original terms. So therefore, it's very important to find a quarterback who can guide you through this process or is fully prepared and experienced in operating quickly and reacting quickly. Maybe even more than reacting, is being proactive in this situation to provide the type of advice that you need to be able to acquire a distressed asset. And there's a good phrase that you don't make money when you sell, but you make money when you buy. So looking for distressed assets can really produce a great opportunity to buy underperforming properties and then establish a low basis for a high upside. If you're interested in obtaining our checklist for acquiring distressed properties, please contact us at ronaldrohdelaw.com.